Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Carol and Jake Solve Advent of Code Problems in Rust. And we're going to do today's problem, day 18. I'm typing today, by the way. Let's do the screen share infinite recursion. And we've got a problem up over here. So we've read through the problem, and we're in a room with tiles that are traps and some tiles that are safe, and we ultimately need to count the number of safe tiles in a large room. Whether a tile is safe or a trap is based on a set of rules having to do with the tiles in the previous row, which is kind of like Game of Life, but also I'm pretty sure this is just Cellular Automaton, which took me a minute to remember what it was called. And I haven't figured out which of these rules we're doing yet, but I'm pretty sure we're doing one of these rules. So let's get started. So we have some tests that we could start writing tests for these. We could write smaller tests for each of the rules. The only thing I think I want to do is have like an option to see the left, right, center, and right tiles of the previous one, and then have like or none return a safe tile. That's the only like design thing I've thought of so far.
Do you mean that for like the edges or like...
Yeah. So like have, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense out of context yet, because that's just like a tiny little detail.
So the annoying thing with problems like this to me is the edge cases, and you kind of have to deal with them somewhere, but I don't really want to deal with them in the kind of in the meat of the problem. And one of the things that they say that's interesting is, on the edge, assume that essentially like there's a wall and the wall is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing I was thinking would be, what if we actually go ahead and take the input that they give us, but pad it on each side with one safe tile. Now, when we go to do things like count how many safe tiles or how many traps there are, we have to know to ignore the outside. But I think that it'll be easier to do the edge case there than it would be inside kind of the core loop of the program. So that was the little bit of design thought that I had.
Okay. So I'm thinking we should write some tests where we have like a function that's is the tile a trap, and it should be false by default, and then rewrite a test for each of these rules. How do you feel about that? All right, so I'm going to grab these. Come down here, and so the first test, do we want to call it is safe or is trap? We have to count. What do we have to count? Safe. So I say we call it is safe.
Okay.
Well, so there's going to be, how many cases are we going to have here? Should we test this exhaustively? We're going to have like, what is this symbol? Like caret. And then the twos. all three. Is that all the cases?
I believe so.
Okay, so which of these go with which rule? Do we care right now? Well, they said like if they're all safe, then the next one is safe.
I mean, that's just a consequence of the
rules. Yeah, like that's something I could use for this test. So I know this isn't really how we want to do it per se, but this is easy right now.
Yeah. I mean, we'll keep going on this road, but like one of the things that you already said is like, quick, right now, is a period safe or not? Right, like, and so like, it's a little silly because we've got this input and everything wants to be a string anyway, but it feels like we have, some kind of enum that we want to say is safe or not.
Okay, I mean this works okay, because we can say I think this is better because like it matters. It's not like an array really. It's left, center, right. So I think I want to have this function take 3 arguments.
Okay. And then the interesting thing is, so instead of is safe, which would have been a Boolean, like we want to say like next tile or something like that. Like we want to say, given these 3 tiles, what is the... And so if we know we have 3 safe tiles, then it will be safe.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we make this function and return a tile, and for now we're just going to return safe. Right.
So I'm going to do your debug, copy, and clone, partial leak.
Okay.
We talked about this before, but I like doing those 4 things on any kind of value type. And if it can't be copied, that's okay, but I generally like to provide at least those. A lot of times there's other ones, but...
Yeah, but we don't have a reason to have other ones yet.
Yeah.
I don't like to add them until I have a reason for it, but this is fine. Okay. So first rule says, let's start a test for the first rule. And then maybe we'll work back and make sure we have all these covered.
Okay.
So this one is going to be next tile, and we're going to call stuff, and this is going to be tile trap, right? Because these are the rules for when they're. Yeah.
Is a trap.
Okay. Left and center are traps, so tile trap, tile trap, and right tile is not.
Right.
And this is going to fail because we have safe. So do we want to just, this feels like a match statement.
Yeah, I would just go ahead and basically match on the tuple of left, center, right. I would advocate for importing the enum in this case, because otherwise you're going to be typing tile a lot.
Yeah, okay. So that.
Yep. Okay, so our rule was if left and center are traps, this will be a trap. Now you put safe in the last one there. Can you look back at the documentation? Because it says...
It has a bunch of rules. In any other situation, the new tile is safe.
Okay.
So that's why I put that there.
Yep. Sounds good.
In what case would you have said that's not?
Oh, it was mostly just like, should it be if, like, go back to the documentation, because it was kind of looking at the, the comma, but its right tile is not. That was actually what I was looking for. Because if it had just said its left and center tiles are traps, then it's a trap. Then we wouldn't know if the right tile had to be a certain thing or not. So, but because it explicitly says the right tile is not a trap, that's the only time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So this should make our test pass. I can make your test pass. No? Yeah. Jake is shaking his head at me. Okay. So the next rule is I'm just going to copy this. Center and right are traps, but left is not. So this is safe, and this is trap, right?
Yep.
And this should fail. And we're going to have to add that case here, which is safe, trap, trap. And then it should pass. And make another test. Third rule is only the left tile is a trap.
Simply meaning the other ones are safe. Trap.
And that passes, and then only the right tile is a trap. Right?
Yep.
Right?
Did you want to commit?
I wanna
do all the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think spiky is trap. So we've done the first line with the 3 dots. That's all safe.
Yeah. Only its right tile is a trap is that one.
Yep.
Only its left tile is a trap is that one.
Yep.
Left and center, but not right. It's that one, and center and right, but not left.
Yep.
So these need to go in the safe test.
Okay, so safe, trap, safe. Trap, safe, trap. And trap, trap, trap.
And let's hope these pass. Yay! Okay, now I'll commit. Okay, so now that we have that, I feel like we want to be able to process a row at a time. And we can use some of these things.
Okay.
So like given this row, we'll get this row. What do you think? Should that be our next step?
Sounds good.
And I bet you want to do your from string
to
enum thing.
We know how to do that. So we can focus on the things that are interesting to start with.
What are the things that are interesting?
The actual act of the things that we don't know how to do. Implementing from string is straightforward, but
So I want to take like this string. And so like, for the purposes of the test, I want to assert this equals another string, but like we don't really care about that.
Right.
So what should we do?
I mean, you do have a test module here, so you can make little test methods that are, take the strings that you want, convert to the data structures you want, do the work, and then convert back to strings.
Okay. So what do we want to do? Like, so if we're gonna forget that we're storing these as strings, what we really want next row function to do is like take a vec of tiles and return a vec of tiles, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what we want in our tests is like string to row that takes the string and returns a vec of tiles.
Mm-hmm.
And do we need the other way? Because we could just call string to row on this and string to row on this.
It's true. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. I feel like this function name is not very idiomatic Rust.
It's not very, but I mean, can always start. I don't know why you'd say it's not necessarily idiomatic, but
because I feel like we should implement like from string for a vec of tiles or something.
So I mean, the obvious problem there is that you can't, because we don't own either that trait or vec.
True. But what about like implementing dot to row on string?
You mean like
so that we
implementing a method on string as opposed to just a free function?
Yeah.
I don't think there's much.
That's like to string.
I don't think there's really any downside to free functions.
Okay. Let's see how much you dislike what I'm doing here. I mean, technically this isn't unreachable.
Yeah, I would quibble with that. I would
panic,
yeah. We'll print it. You could just see there.
yeah.
I usually
call this one other. Okay. Then we have to collect. How does that look to you?
Fine.
Okay, so we've implemented that. Now we have to do next row. So yeah. So here's where we could do that thing you were talking about with adding a safe one onto the beginning and end.
Right.
Is there a, should we be using a vecdeck to be able to push on to either end here? Or is that overkill?
I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it yet.
Okay, so what should we do? Is push on to the end.
You can actually, there's an insert, I believe, that lets you insert
Okay.
0. And I'm pretty sure it pushes everything down.
Do we want to take ownership of this?
I don't know. That was the other thing, because that's what you typed.
Yeah.
Because if you were to just take a slice, then we could create a new vector, copy everything from the row into that vector after pushing on something, and then push on a final wall.
Okay. So instead we take a slice of tiles. And then we make a new vec.
Yeah.
That starts with the safe tile. I don't know what to call this. And then extend from slice.
I always forget that particular.
I'm pretty sure. Do that. We'll find out and look it up if it's not. And then push on another.
Yeah. You want tile. You want capital S.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And then now that we've got our edge cases there handled, we just need to use the Windows iterator.
Okay.
So x.windows.
Yeah, I would have to look this up.
So Windows takes a number. So how many are in each window? So 3, yeah. And then that's gonna, the iterator argument is going to be a slice. And the slice will be of length 3.
Okay. And can I just destructure on that slice?
Not in stable Rust.
Oh.
So you can destructure it because it would be can't prove that you've done all the variants.
Irrefutable pattern.
Irrefutable pattern. There we go.
Okay, so then we want to do actually. So I think I want to do this because I just want to be able to collect at the end.
Right. Zero, 1, and 2.
Okay, I feel like this is going to fail for something, but I don't really know why. Okay, we're not passing a slice in.
Which is fine.
Okay. Okay.
And now we just have to do that times.
So starting with the map and your puzzle input, in a total of 40 rows, including the starting row, how many safe tiles are there? So I have to read the input. Am I jumping farther ahead than you wanted to do?
No, I mean there might be one last thing, like a test that you could do, but
okay. Well, so here I want to use the function we defined in the test module.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pull it out.
So when you pull it out of the test module is when I will challenge you. Why should that continue to be a free function?
Uh-oh.
Why should it not? Why should we not actually create a type?
I don't know.
Because we
Are
still
you?
can, but it's like we basically have created our own from stir implementation.
Yeah.
So I mean, like we can keep doing it. It's just by not implementing the trait, we don't get to participate in the ecosystem that is around the traits.
So is it? Are we going to do from stir, or are we going to do from char
I don't
on
think that.
tile?
Um, so I mean, that one's interesting. Like, because you could see this as being, you could actually create, like, the thing is, we would want to create a row or some other named type, right? That's basically a vector of tiles. And then, because the other thing that's interesting is, scroll up a little bit to, so next row, in a way, is a method on a row.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't done that yet, right? Next tile, on the other hand, isn't really a method on anything right now.
Because it needs 3 tiles.
It needs 3 tiles, and like not one of those tiles is like primary.
Okay,
Anyway,
if we're gonna refactor, I'm gonna get this back to good. Okay,
okay.
good green place. And now, so
So I would introduce a new type that is a vec of tile, basically, and you've given it a name already. You've called it row.
mhm. So are you saying? I forget how to do this. Is not how you do this.
No, that's a type alias.
Yeah.
And it's set because type aliases can't actually have methods. That you
Okay.
can't like create new methods for them. So a new type is just a structure that is a tuple struct with one thing in it.
Okay.
Okay. And then impl.
Well, are we gonna make next row be?
Yeah.
And so this is. So I would want to just call this next,
Okay.
since like this is basically self here.
Right.
But the next method is commonly used for iterator in Rust, and I wouldn't want to confuse with that.
It is true. I mean, the types are going to be different. Like this doesn't take
Yeah.
a mutable and it doesn't return an option. I don't know. I would like, to me, next doesn't bother me here for whatever
Okay.
reason. That'll need to be self.0. We actually access the, and then yeah.
And that was the only spot in here that we use row.
Right, and then you'll need to return a row probably, yeah. And you just have to wrap that on your last. Okay. I'll go ahead and compile that because the test will fail.
Oh no. Oh, do I need to?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Scroll up, I think that the actual error is at the top, yeah.
Oh. Oh, okay. I didn't change the test.
Right.
Okay, so.
So string
But
to
string to
row,
row now needs to return a row.
right, which we can do.
So I feel like you wouldn't have done this. You would have like introduced a variable here and then.
No, I've actually done that a bunch.
Okay. Would you do it here? Because like this is really long to wrap in a thing.
I probably would actually in this case, and I can't say why.
You would do this.
I would do it.
Okay.
I've even done really weird ones, especially like if we were to actually move this to from string. So from string has a result, right?
Mhm.
And I would actually probably make it so that I wrap the whole thing in OK. And in the panic case, I'd actually specifically say return error. So I return an error from inside of a parentheses of an OK.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's weird. Like for some reason, this one doesn't bother me as much, but this one's like, okay, this return type is getting way too far away from the
Right.
end of the method, but it's totally a subjective thing.
And I don't see anything innately wrong with introducing a variable either.
We're going to need these on our row
Why is that?
because we want to be able to assert that they're equal.
Okay. It won't be able to be copied because vec isn't copied, but
Okay. Yay, okay. All right. So now did you want to make this be from stir?
I probably would, yeah.
So impl from stir?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You usually just
It depends, yeah.
well, because I don't know the method on. Okay, we have to import it. Okay, so we have to define error, and we have to. There's
Yeah,
the
it actually
signature.
does have the whole. I feel like we were doing something the other day and it wouldn't give us the full error message. I wonder if that's because we had half of it.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not. Yeah, it would be really nice if that was actually copy pastable. Like it had the name in here, and if oops, nope. I might. It's very close. That might be something I file a bug about later.
Yeah, and the types there are a little.
Yeah, they're a little verbose.
You can just say self : error.
But we still have to define what that is.
Right.
And this is how we do this.
Yeah, that's how you do it. I would just probably do box of error. Error. That's going to be a trait that we'll need to pull in. So yeah, use standard. Oh, yeah.
I'll just what?
You didn't actually give a name to the variable, the argument, which is a weird
I just
error
copy
message.
pasted it.
Well, but it doesn't know what name you want.
I don't care. I want to copy paste. Okay. Yeah. We want standard error.
Yep. Not to be confused with standard error.
Okay.
Right. Now we're not returning results. So at this point in time, I would probably just go ahead and copy the implementation of string to row in and change the. You want to do it the crazy way? Good.
Well, we can do it this way and then talk
Let's see
about
how crazy it is. So yeah, that needs to be return error, and then format bang. Yeah, because we want to get that character in there, and you'll have to then run that. I'm pretty sure it's going to give an error on that type, but
we also aren't using this
trait from iterator result. I want to say you put the OK in the wrong spot.
Because we want to
collect. Yeah, this is at the point where. But yeah, that right there where your cursor is, that needs to be on the very outside. Pretty sure. This is why. Okay, let's just split it into multiple.
Okay.
So I would remove OK in row for a second and get that into a variable. We know that that ends at collect. Now we can just say, okay, of row of tiles. Maybe I had you move the wrong parentheses.
Yeah. What do we have here? We don't have, like, we want this to be a backup tile. I feel like that's not what we're getting for some reason.
Right. Oh, I
Because-
did make you move the wrong parentheses. On line 50, we need to close the map right there. Yeah.
How did, just like, shouldn't we have gotten a missing parentheses there?
That's a good question.
So this is a little strange too. I feel like I don't think we have the right types in here somewhere.
I know what the problem is now.
What?
Normally when I do this weird trick of doing the return inside the match, it's not also inside of a map.
Oh.
So we're returning from the map.
Oh, okay.
So the error it's telling us is that two of our match arms are returning a tile and one of them's returning a result of tile.
Yeah. And then result has collect on it, which,
Yeah.
but that's not collecting into the thing
Yep.
we want.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned earlier, do we want to create like a tile from char?
Okay.
So that's the thing we could do.
Okay. I'm a little lost about how that's going to fix this error, but I will trust you, and we'll go with that since it was my idea anyway.
Mm-hmm. So there isn't a from char. So this is
but
just
we can do from for tile. I forget how to do this.
So the reason that we may not want to do that is because from doesn't allow for errors.
Okay.
There is something that's not stabilized yet that's called try from,
Okay.
which is very much like fromster in that it has an error type. So that's up to you if you want to use unstable features.
No.
Then I would just implement a method on tile
Okay.
called like from char.
And are we going to return a result, or are we going to?
I would return a result.
Okay.
So now we can do my crazy thing. Oh, yeah.
What?
No,
Oh,
keep going.
I was just gonna. We can just return from. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a result of box error. Why'd you put those double columns there?
Oh, I don't know.
And then yeah. So it's a little weird, right? Because it's like inside of creating the okay. I think I've mostly done this when I have a match statement that has many options in it, many match arms, because otherwise you have to type okay on line 43 and line 44 and 10 more times. Okay, so tile from char. So now what this is actually going to do is we want to collect this into a result of vec of tile, and you can use an underscore for the error on result. Okay.
And then don't we have to like get this out of the result, right?
Which we can just map.
There.
Mm-hmm.
But then this like I was mostly just annotating the types because I.
Right. So this is what's actually very interesting is this will all become one line when we're done.
Okay, I still don't see this, but whatever. Okay. All right, we've got a couple problems here.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is for your test, you may still actually want to have a string to row function that just calls parse and expect, essentially. In your test, you're never going to test like invalidate it this way. And then this is going to be, we need to do a dot into on the created string to actually have it become the right box of error. Okay. And so now.
So we did need that type annotation.
Right,
there.
when you're collecting, you do need the. So it's a result of vec of.
But then we're going to map it.
Right. But we'll go ahead and do it in multiple lines because it's more obvious to start with. So I would take the map off the end of that collect. Yeah. Okay. And now just do tiles.map.
Like that? See, that looks weird.
Well, I mean, tiles, you have to give it a function to map.
What we're doing, what are we mapping?
Row.
My brain hurts.
Just row.
Just row?
Yeah, and then get rid of the semicolon in the next line.
Get rid of the semicolon and the next line?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, see, I still haven't gotten my head around all the functional methods and what they actually do.
Right. So now.
So this is taking a result of a vec of tiles.
Yep.
Let me just add this in here too. And if we get okay, then it's going to call
the row method,
which is just like row parentheses.
Yep.
Blah. And then it'll return a result from that.
Yep.
Which matches this. And if this is an error, if this is an error, it'll just return the error and not do this.
Yep.
And this collect here is taking a vec of char, well, an iterator of chars, and then this returns a bunch of results.
Yep.
And if all of them are okay, it returns okay of the results. And if any of these are error, it returns an error.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So some other little tiny cleanups that I would probably do here. So we know that we don't need tile on the type. We also don't need vec. The reason we don't need vec in this case, I mean, usually.
What?
Go ahead. I don't think that'll work. I think
because you still in the error?
Yeah. Okay. And the reason we don't need that is because we know that we're returning a row, and the only value that a row can have is a vec.
Okay.
So therefore, the internal type has to be a vec, or the OK type, I should say.
Then the next thing you're going to say to do is just call this function without argument.
Yeah, without making an explicit closure.
And then
to run that.
And then you're going to say, let's just get rid of this.
Comment it out. Because I'm pretty sure that it will not work to just remove it. This is like, we kind of reached
too much inference.
Yeah. Now you could, and this is, we talked a little bit about the turbofish. This is where I might actually do a turbofish on the collect.
Jake hates the turbofish. Okay, so you would collect.
So this would need to say result, and you'd have to do the underscores.
And then we could put this back in here.
Right. So just like we were talking about earlier, whether or not this is a great idea.
I have a semicolon.
You are missing a close.
Oh.
which is another like mismatched
Change
parenthesis where it didn't
Which-
tell us that
What am I using here?
nightly.
Okay, I'm using a nightly from like 3 weeks ago. Maybe that's why we're getting weird error messages.
Mm.
Let me take that one out again and see if we get a better error message. Yeah, see, this is what I would expect.
Yeah, but you actually went to the top this time, whereas you haven't been.
But
Like scroll down. Like
yeah, I mean that's
like these types of errors are the ones that we've been seeing.
but I don't think we've been seeing better errors at the top. Oh yeah,
Expected.
we have. Okay. All right. So it's not a problem with the restoration. It's a problem with my scrolling.
So anyway,
Okay. But yeah, we're not passing. Oh, these are different errors. Okay, we got rid of this method.
we didn't get rid of next tile.
Why is it mad now?
Next tile public.
Oh, no.
How did that work before?
I don't know.
And tiles be public.
Well, but what if the private stuff is broken on the nightly?
Well, that'd be fun.
Sorry, everyone. Turns out when you use nightlies, weird stuff happens.
And row needs to be public.
Okay.
So, I don't know if everyone would agree that that implementation of parse_dir is understandable. I mean, like you pointed out, you kind of have to like
Let's take a look at that again.
spin on it for a little while as you're like reading it and be like, what does this do? What does this do?
Yeah.
To me, it's very readable. The biggest unreadable aspect is the turbofish. And so I might actually not do the turbofish. I might go ahead and just create a temporary thing and then do thing.mapRow.
Yeah.
But I think the big benefit is, this is just one line now. And even if you made it multiple lines, I feel like the flow is pretty easy. So I would do like schars, new line map, new line collect, and maybe store that into a variable if I wanted to, and then new line map row. So like it's not necessarily the one line, it's just kind of like the one piece of thought. It's like, here's some data, transform it like this. I do like that we moved out the character processing into a method on tile.
Yeah, that I think did the most for cleaning it up.
Right. And like the weird okay return error thing there, I don't think there's a established pattern. That's just something that I've done a couple times. So.
Okay. What were we doing?
We were about to do the next, like we want to do like the generate 40 rows worth of stuff.
So input is the first row. And we were doing this whole thing because I wanted to have this function out here. So we put this kind of back for the tests,
right?
But we probably should be doing all of this in the actual code.
So this is where like I don't like that this function has a panic.
So you would make this a result?
I would probably try to make that a result, yeah. Basically, the only place I like the panic is a logic error. This is not a logic error. This is like an input validation error. Or in a test, or essentially at my main.
Yeah, so now we have to change main, which I have been being lazy and trying to make it so that I don't have to change I'm okay with changing this.
I mean,
We're
if all you
demonstrating
want is
good
you can just
things.
throw the expect there, yeah. I just think that it's the provenance of like the driving, like whoever, like a library shouldn't panic unless it's actually like, I have screwed up. If it's the caller has screwed up somehow, then that should be a result. There are cases where it's not always the case, but
I'm gonna make that error a little bit more general because we might add other.
yeah. And
other
it should
reasons.
print out, like it'll print out the, it'll print out, you know, the actual error
error.
message. So this is a good reason to have good error messages, and like why we included the character.
Okay, I'm just gonna make sure this compiles.
Yep.
And it doesn't.
Oh yeah, you box error.
Okay. Right. What? It doesn't know what I want, does it?
It says you're trying to parse to a empty tuple, which is
How is it?
that one's strange, yeah.
Okay. Right. So there's one more function that we haven't written yet, and that is the number of safe tiles in a row.
Right.
Because we're going to want to call that on every row, including the source row.
Yep.
So let's do that. Okay. Better.
Yeah. For some reason I blanked on that. I think I was thinking it though. Okay.
Why do I have two things here?
Because you're iterating over a vec, so you get references to the vec, and filter is always providing a reference to the item.
Okay.
Because it doesn't want to give ownership to the closure, because otherwise you'd have to like return it from the closure back to the iterator.
Okay.
All right, is that compiled right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we test this?
I don't think so. I mean, I would not.
Okay.
Like, essentially, there is the only way you could go wrong here is you have your logic completely backwards. You're counting the safe or the trap tiles. So
I'm also going to change this to be that type. So easier. So yeah. You're probably going to know a more functional way to do this, but this is what I would do off my head. And then, so it said total of 40 rows, including the starting row.
So it sounds like we need to do 39 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then this is, it should still be 40 though, right? Because it's not inclusive.
But it'll do 0 and 39, so it'll do 40 iterations.
Okay. Fence posts.
Yeah.
Are we sure? I'm not sure.
I'm sure, but that doesn't mean I'm right. Yeah, this definitely feels like it's going to be a folded in map or I mean,
accumulate.
kinda. The downside is that because you're relying on previous state, it makes it a little bit more annoying. But do it a lot of the times I will do this. I will write it out and kind of get my logic, and then see a pattern. Like there are times where I will write, I will see a pattern. But if I don't see one, I will start with the comparative solution.
How does that look?
I mean, the biggest thing to me is that there's redundancy in the first row is a special case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it'll work. Let's see if it compiles. Oh,
Oh no. Oh, I'm not trimming the string. Okay, do we want to see if we're right, or do we want to refactor first?
let's see if we're right. Because that's essentially our passing test.
Yeah. Yay, okay. Before we look at part 2. Okay, so can we make this nicer?
So I would start by trying to see if we can get rid of the specialtiness of first row.
Okay. So what if we start calling it that? Because we still have to parse the first
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
So yeah, then if we just declare this here, basically,
Okay.
and we get rid of this,
Yeah.
and just say this.
Yeah.
But this is going to give me mute.
Yeah. And you got to set up one more next row.
Oop. Okay.
Let's see now. We're wrong. But this is a good thing. We're wrong because we're not doing one more loop. We need to iterate one more time.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so we got the same.
Because we had one extra iteration outside of the loop before, and we moved it into the loop.
Okay, I like this a lot better because now this matches the number.
Because now we're actually doing 40 rows worth of stuff. Okay, you want to commit that?
Yeah.
Do you want to try and do, I don't actually know if we can, but you want to try and do something a little bit more functional?
Yeah, so I feel like, let's look at the docs.
Yeah.
Let's say, thinking of fold, where there's an initial value, an accumulator, and the next thing.
Right. But in this case, fold operates on an iterator.
Yeah.
We don't actually have an iterator yet. Yet.
Are we going to make one?
Go up to the module documentation for iter. There's always this function that I used to remember. No, like standard iter. Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. I feel like there's a link somewhere.
This is implementing iterator. Okay, it's on the same page.
So what functions exist here?
So
there's a bunch of structs, a bunch of traits.
Empty once repeat.
Okay, so that's not what I was remembering.
I mean, could it be in this part that I
way back in ye old Rust, there was a thing called unfold.
What?
Which basically is like have some state and return stuff. And I'm trying to remember what the new replacement for that was. Let me also look a little bit online. because there is a method or a struct. It's probably a struct.
And what would it do?
Basically, kind of like what we were talking about is like, it's kind of like what you're saying is like there's some state scan, but no, that's still on while iterating another iterator. Because that's the thing is like, to do this, you have to start with a certain thing, create a new value, and then that value is both what you return from the iterator and what you have to keep yourself. So you would be, we would be end up cloning something. Whereas right now we don't have to clone because we're just kind of taking a reference to it.
Okay, I'm less enamored of this solution.
Okay.
Mostly because of the cloning, and secondly because we don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
since you're going to re-implement this for your own solution anyway, so maybe
I
you
might
can
figure that
that out for your code. Okay.
So part 2?
Yes. See what it is. How many safe tiles are there in a total of
400,000.
400,000 rows? Okay. I feel like the trick here is going to be, are we doing this efficiently?
Right.
Um,
So the biggest thing I see is, we're doing that extra array creation or vector creation when we compute the next one.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I was going to say we really don't care about the vector. We just need the number, but we need where the things are in order to be able to compute the next one. So
right. I meant when we do like the wall,
this one,
the edge case around that one. So like that's the most obvious thing that comes to my mind with inefficiency here. So
do we want to just run it in release mode and see, give it a good 10 seconds, see how bad it is? 1, 2, oh, yeah, okay, all right, we don't have to worry about that then.
Computers are fast.
Yeah.
We'll see if we're right, I guess.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, wow, that was easy. I didn't tag the whatever. No, I haven't been tagging the parts. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to do, just because I'm curious, is I wanted to print these out to see if we have any of these cool patterns. Because some of these automatons, like this one makes a pyramid. They make all these different shapes.
Right.
And this is starting with 1, so maybe this won't be very interesting, but I kind of just want to print it out to see what we get. The only thing I'm worried about is, okay, if I zoom out, we'll get everything on one line.
Yeah.
So, like, I just want to.
Who are you showing it to?
Me.
Are you the user or are you a developer?
Yes.
So which trait are you going to implement?
I don't know. It sounds like you're telling me to do display.
I don't know. I mean, like, that's the whole thing. I would probably do display because it sounds like you want it to be like, that's it's not just for debugging, right? It's for
showing something pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be on row.
Yeah.
And
what is this on syntax?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. I would actually recommend importing standard format, like not display.
Because we're going to use
a lot of things from format, and that way it just kind of, you're not going to like scatter that trait throughout your code anyway. So.
So we have to do format display.
Yep.
I think I wrote the docs for this, so I'm going to go look them up. examples, implementing display on type. See, isn't this nice? You can just copy this. You can even copy like all of it. I forget if I actually did display or if display was one of the good ones that I wanted to make everything like. But okay, so we're gonna have a row here and we've got our formatter. And what we want to do is, like, I don't want these parens. We basically just want to iter over the tiles.
Yep.
And then we're going to want display on tile.
That's probably what I do, yeah.
And we're going to need to, like,
yeah.
Try that. Okay, let me just see what we've got here.
So I need to also return okay at the end.
Okay, all right.
And probably, oh, okay, yeah.
Probably what we.
I just would have put a semicolon at the end of that, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's.
But now we got to implement it for tile.
Yeah. I'm going to put it up here with my tile. Tile here. And then we want to match. I can't decide if I want to put the right within the match arms or.
Just which character?
Yeah. I think I just want to do that once. So.
Because there's a right at the end. Yeah, you don't need any of that.
This is, I kind of wish there was a better way to like make this and this
Paired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we could do something like make a constant or something and use that in both places, but okay.
Match on star, so
yeah. That's in this one.
ampersand.
Okay. Zoom out a bit. Oh no, it's okay. Oh, we're doing the like 400,000.
Right.
I'm just gonna let it go unless
Yeah.
this takes a while. I'm gonna I'm just like scrolling up. There are some pyramids going on in here.
Yeah, where there's like long chains of.
Oh, see, some of them are like pseudo random, and those are the really interesting ones. See, there's some pyramids going on, but then some parts just look like noise. So yeah, I think this might be one of the more interesting ones, which is probably why they picked it, so that you couldn't just count, how many things there are. It doesn't like repeat. See, what we really need to do to be able to tell which one it is I want to change the initial input to be, how many characters is this? 100. So I want to do, I want to put one trap in the middle. And I'm going to not do 40,000. 400,000. Do 400 instead. It's like pretty fractal triangles. There is some repeating.
Go make it actually in the center, because if you have 100 characters, it can't be in the center.
Okay, so you want one more on this side?
It depends where you put it. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
51? Yeah, that's fine. Just because I have a feeling that now it'll actually end up being.
It'll repeat prettily.
Yeah.
It's very pretty.
Christmas trees.
Yeah. Yay! Okay, well, thanks for watching, and we might be streaming again soon. Bye.